You've heard of never Trumpers, but who's the not Trumper? I'm Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle now. And Bill, you know, I just heard yesterday that it's pretty darn sure that former Vice President Joe Biden is going to run for president. Elizabeth Warren is in, Kamala Harris, and blah, 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 blah. The rest of the list. It occurred to me that all of these people are vying for the privilege of being not Trump. And I just wanted to ask you kind of your opinion. First of all, is that the way you see this 2020 race shaping up?
Well, the person who's going to be not Trump is going to get 30 or 40% of the vote. Whether they win the election, I don't know, but they're going to get that. It doesn't matter who that person is. It really doesn't matter.
You're saying by virtue of being not Trump, they got the 30
precisely,
to 40.
Precisely correct, yeah. The fact that Joe Biden is leading in straw polls just tells you what a paucity of talent and charisma.
Well, you would expect the straw poll to pick the straw man as the leader.
Well, my point is there's nobody exactly setting the world on fire in the Democratic Party, so they will get 35%, 40% of the vote guaranteed regardless of who they run, period. But this is running against a president, running against an incumbent, let me put it that way, is a great strategy when things are going badly. But when things are going well, it's pretty much suicide. If you don't have something better to offer people when things are going well, I don't think that approach is going to bear much fruit. If we were really in an economic just tanking and unemployment was through the ceiling, you could run against Trump's record, and that would carry most of your water for you. But when the economy is growing at this rate and record employment numbers and all the rest of this stuff, what are they going to say? I'm not the guy that gave you 4% economic growth, a bigger paycheck, and more people back in work than anybody else? Is that what they're going to run on?
So it occurs to me, Bill, that based on that, the best strategy for a Democratic candidate would be to say, I like everything President Trump is doing, and I'd like to keep doing it. And if you vote for me, you'll get all the stuff you love about Trump, but I'm not a jackwagon.
Now, if you put it that way, that person's not only going to lose, they're going to be tracked down with dogs and torches and pitchforks. And if they just get tarred and feathered, they'll be lucky because the progressive base would just eat them alive for that. Now you're talking about a different strategy, which I think is a sounder strategy, but also points out the inherent defect in the Democratic Party, at least as far as the 2020 election is concerned. So, let's say you run an anti-Trump, we're going to impeach him and so on. You're going to get your progressive base, but again, you're not going to get people whose lives are better. But let's say you come along with a moderate, and let's just say it's Beto, somebody like that. And he comes along and says, hey, listen, economic growth is great. It's great for everybody. And the president's policies on taxation are great. And comes up with a whole list of things that he would do, but without saying that he's Trump. In other words, here is a Democrat that's going to bring wealth to the people. And he doesn't, there he is. That's his position. That is going to lose them their radical base. If you run a guy who's a centrist, who's basically saying, no, I think actually, when you get right down to it, lower taxes means more money for everybody, then you can just kiss goodbye all of the Bernie Sanders socialists. And so my off-the-cuff analysis of it is that the Democratic Party is split right in half, and neither half has the numbers to win, and neither half is going to go out enthusiastically and vote for the other half of their same party. And that is good news for us, I think.
But they will come together no matter who the nominee is, because it doesn't matter. As you said, it's kind of it's just a placeholder, whoever that nominee is, who is not Trump.
Right.
Is it possible that a Democrat could run for office and without alluding to President Trump, but basically say, I love America. God has blessed America.
You've just lost 20% of the Democratic Party, at least 20% of them, probably closer to 40.
Now, is that by mentioning America or God?
Yeah, by saying I love America, you lost 25, 30%. By saying you love God, you lost probably another 20% on top of that.
But you get the general idea. Is basically saying, look, this is a great country. We can be greater because now that we've got this economic prosperity, now that we've got relative peace around the world, let's take advantage of that and make sure we're not leaving anyone behind.
Scott, this is why I'm encouraged for 2020. It's the Democratic Party radicals, the far leftists, that are seen on college campuses and in the streets holding up signs that say, America was never great. I mean, these are signs that we see at Antifa rallies. These are the signs we see on college campuses. So that if you come out and say the kind of things that are going to win people in the middle, you're going to lose the left wing. If you say the kind of thing that's going to win the left wing, you're going to lose the middle. And as these two positions come further and further apart, and thank you, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's going to be doing yeoman's work on the part of conservatives for the next year and a half. It seems to me to be irreconcilable. It's like we were to have in the Republican Party. We were have the kind of schism where we basically said, we're in favor of small government, but we think religion is just hooey, and we need to get religion completely out of the conservative platform in order to gain the middle. And then you had another part of the Republican Party that said that, we're going to turn this into a Christian nation, and all of our virtue will return. You would then find yourself in the same set of irreconcilable differences that are going under the same banner. And when you say it doesn't matter because people are going to vote anyway, that's just plain seems obvious, but it's just wrong. Elections don't turn on people coming out to vote. They turn on how many people come out to vote. And how many people come out to vote on any given day is determined by voter enthusiasm for the person that they're voting for and against the person that they don't want to see in office. Now, Donald Trump's negatives among the Democratic Party are rock solid, but they're not 50%. And the Democratic Party lost working people in the 2016 election. So if the Democrats are not excited, or if they're divided, in other words, the millennials and the Kids Socialist Club decides not to show up, then they lose. And if they put out all of this redistributionist rhetoric, then the working Democrats either don't show up or they vote for Republicans. So as it stands right now, let me put this as just as generally as I can. I don't think there's anybody going to be shocked into abandoning Donald Trump at this point if they already abandoned Donald Trump. I don't see anybody getting off the Trump train if they're already on. So the question is, can the Democrats put together a train that's more attractive? And I don't think they're going to have a Trump train. I think they're going to have a chump train. And I don't think there's anybody in the Democratic Party who has the charisma to bring these wings together through the kind of artful, enthusiastic, pushing of nothing that made Barack Obama the success that he was.
It almost seems the way you paint this picture, especially about the Democratic primary process and the forces at work within the Democratic Party, I almost start to feel sorry for these people who are running for president. I got this visual in my head of somebody who basically was out there with a canoe, like Elizabeth Warren, of course. She would have a dugout. And she'd be paddling along, trying to enjoy a trip down a lazy river. But unfortunately, Elizabeth Warren gets sucked into a deep and fast channel in the middle of the river that is just pulling her inexorably faster and in a direction that she does not wish to go, and there's nothing she can do about it. Is that a fair description of the Democratic primary process?
Well, I think you could describe this as saying if Elizabeth Warren were to be sucked down into a whirlpool, that would be a disaster, and if somebody were to pull her out again, that would be a catastrophe. To borrow from Gladstone and Disraeli. So yes, Scotty, that's exactly right. You want to paddle down the middle, which is where the Democratic Party should be. I've said this many times, but it bears saying many times. When the Democrats lose working people like they did in 2016, when blue-collar workers vote for Donald Trump, then they've not just lost a voting bloc, they've lost their identity. They've lost who they are.
But those people shifted over in the congressional elections in 2018. Those states that went strong for Trump did not go strong for Trump or for his party anyway.
Yes, that's right. But they weren't voting for Trump. They were voting for rhinos or not voting for rhinos. And Donald Trump has crystallized a group of people, and it's an odd coalition of people who I think, let me put it this way, I think there are a lot of people who had big reservations about voting for Trump in 2016 and maybe didn't, who now would be comfortable voting for Trump because while they have not seen any spectacular increase in vulgarity, it's just kind of at a constant level. You can't argue with the results. The Supreme Court picks, the economy, our international standing, defense, all the rest of it. Certainly my vote for him in 2020 will be a more confident one. In 2016, I was just saying, well, I'm ready to risk anything because
he was not Hillary.
Because 4 years of Hillary is the end of the country, Scott. With the government weaponized against conservatives and Republicans the way it has been, this ongoing Mueller witch hunt, which never ends, to their ultimate chagrin, I suspect. When you see the director of the FBI making leaks to the press and FBI agents swearing that they're not going to allow this guy to become president, and you throw in all of the collusion on the part of the media and all of the collusion on the part of Facebook, Google, YouTube, and all the rest of it, that is the greatest threat to the Republic. And I was willing to take a chance on a guy who I didn't think, as a general rule, was presidential material. Turns out, to my happiness, that while he certainly has not become the great statesman or the inspired leader of the country, or even maybe even the fairly serious adult that I would have liked, I find that I am much more willing to vote for him in 2020 because whatever you think of the man, his policies have produced a much better America. And that's not Republican or Democrat. People remember what their paychecks were like when Obama was president, and they'll know what their paychecks were like when Trump is president. And I don't want to get cocky because I got to tell you, 8 months ago, I began to think this is going to be a real tough one. But because of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I cannot ever remember the name of this Muslim Congresswoman. Is it
Representative Tlaib? Yeah.
Yeah, Tlaib. Because of the radicals speaking out, and Bernie Sanders is a centrist now, they have managed to put the Democratic Party upon a fulcrum. They put the party on a fulcrum where the choice for the American people, as far as the Democrats concerned, or you could, as a Democratic voter, you can go with the far left on one hand or with the extreme left on the other hand, and that is not where winning American elections is even today.
Well, as the race to be crowned not Trump in 2020 continues, Bill Whittle will be analyzing it every step of the way. 5 days a week, we are here getting Bill's reaction to the breaking news of the day. It's only possible because of folks who have become members at BillWhittle.com. They've gone to that website. They've clicked the Become a Member link. They have contributed on a monthly or annual basis to this enterprise, and we are ever grateful to them. You can join their ranks today. Just go to BillWhittle.com and click Become a Member. For Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making this possible.